Judicial Service Commission. We apologize for keeping you late. It's okay. One interview went over another one. Make yourself comfortable. Yes, and we'll begin with introduction for purposes of the record, because we know, you know all of us. My name is Martha Kome. I'm the chairperson of the Judicial Service Commission. You're welcome. Chair.
And my name is Machari Anjero. I'm the vice chair of the commission.
Thank you.
I'm Patrick Ishohe, karibu sana.
Thank you, Commissioner.
David Majanja, Commissioner, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Oluwande Evelyn, Chief Magistrate and Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Greetings, Jacqueline Ngutia, Commissioner. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Olive Mugenda, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mohamed Warsame, Commissioner. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Commissioner.
Your Honor, my name is Justice Muhammad Ibrahim of the Supreme Court. I'm representing that court in this commission.
Asante sana, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you very much for that introduction. Before we go to the formal interview, please tell us your county and your ethnicity.
I come from Vihiga County. I'm Luya from Bunyore ethnicity.
Okay, we'll go now to the formal interview, and just to assure you, this is a very friendly commission. If you are asked a question and you want to seek clarification, feel free to do that. I will begin by asking you to briefly, in about 3 or so minutes, to tell us about yourself, stating your academic, professional, and work experience. Remember to highlight the key achievements that are relevant to the position that you have applied of a judge of the High Court.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Edna Nyaloti, currently Chief Magistrate Nakuru Law Courts and Head of Station. I hold a master's degree in law from the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom, a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi, and a diploma in law from the Kenya School of Law. I have also undertaken professional development courses to enhance my skills. I started my career as a District 2 magistrate with the judiciary in 1993, and my first station was Kakamega. I was transferred to Makadara Law Courts and then Busia Law Courts. I worked with the judiciary, rising to the rank of Senior Resident Magistrate in 2003, and in 2004, I won a Ford Foundation Scholarship to study human rights in the United Kingdom at the University of Leeds. I had to resign from the judiciary because I was not able to secure a study leave, and I took the risk of resigning, knowing very well that education and human resource holds for tomorrow. And I knew that the skills I was going to acquire, I would come back and use those skills for the good of the government of Kenya and for the judiciary. I completed my studies at Leeds University in 2005, and I came back. I did not have a job. I worked as a volunteer, having resigned from the judiciary. I worked with the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Witness Protection Agency, the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association, Kituo cha Sheria, and I also worked as a volunteer. I came back to the judiciary in 2016 as a Chief Magistrate. In my career as a judicial officer and as a public officer and working as a volunteer, I have key notable achievements. While working with the judiciary, I was posted in Mombasa, and in 2020 COVID came, and the courts were ordered closed to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. And working in Mombasa, knowing that in Mombasa, that's where there were so many human rights violations, especially in countering terrorism, we could not afford to close the courts. So we had to come up with initiatives, innovative initiatives, and Mombasa Law Courts was the first court to start virtual courts hearings. And I was instrumental in that. I was the only person who was left at the station, and I tasked the ICT officer to interlink the court with the prisons, and we started virtual courts. Again, Chair, the Mombasa Law Courts was the first court to put the judiciary on the map of having initiated virtual court hearings, and this was reported on the CNN. And I was appointed in the judiciary ICT committee, and I was tasked with developing a concept note to ensure that the whole judiciary was went virtual. I was called by the then Chief Court Administrator, Mr. Duncan Okello, and I developed the concept, which I shared the concept with my Principal Judge, Justice Ogola, and Honorable Makori, who was then my immediate boss. And that day, when the Mombasa court appeared on the CNN, the then CJ was very happy, and he called me through the Principal Judge, and that day I felt so good. And again, while working in Mombasa, the prisoners, after the courts had been ordered closed, the prisoners were threatening to beat up the prison officers. So the officer in charge called me that I'm the only person who could talk to the prisoners to calm them down. And I proceeded to Shimo Latewa. I talked to the prisoners. They were very violent and very wild. But by the time I was leaving the prison, they were very happy. They assured me that they were not going to beat up the prison officers. And we came up with strategies to ensure that the courts, we continued offering services. In fact, Mombasa Court is the only court that never closed during that time. We had a tent at the prison. We used to go to the prison to hear cases at the prison. And we also, at the Mombasa Law Court, there's a big space. We nicknamed it the Corona Court. And that empty space is where judges and magistrates used to go and hear matters. While working at the National Commission on Human Rights, I represented the commission at the NCAJ, and I was a member of the NCAJ Technical Committee. And I was instrumental in coming up with strategies through the Technical Committee. I moved to the Witness Protection Agency, and I represented the Witness Protection Agency at the Technical Committee on the Rights of Children. And the Children Act 2022, some of the achievements we can actually see them in that new act. While I worked at the commission again, I had worked at Kituo cha Sheria, and we used to visit places where people had been evicted, and I was instrumental in authoring a shadow report to the UN, to the United Nations Committee on Human Rights, and the recommendations of the UN committee were to the effect that Kenya needed to have a legal framework. I continued with advocacy work, and through that advocacy work and lobbying, Justice Lenaola authored a judgment on evictions, and we carried that judgment. We went to the Office of the Attorney General, we lobbied, and again at the commission, I used to review bills that used to come to ensure that these bills were human rights compliant. And in 2016, the Land Amendment Act, Section 152G, all the recommendations we had made can be seen in that Section 152G.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think now we are going into the technical area, which will feature in the questions the members will ask you. Just tell me briefly, what is your understanding of judicial independence and how you have guarded it?
Thank you, Chair. My understanding of judicial independence is that there's there's the decisional independence, where an individual judge or judicial officer has to be independent in the way they are going to make their decisions, only guided by the law and the facts, and independent from either colleagues or family or friends. Then there's also the institutional independence, where the judiciary as an institution is independent and the judiciary is under no authority of any person when the judiciary is administering the cases. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The last question from me. It looks like you have been involved a lot in other works with other agencies, which is commendable, but from your CV and the story you have told us, it's like you've been more focused on that collaborative efforts working with the human rights bodies more than in the judicial work.
Thank you, Chair. I have done 18 years, solid 18 years in the judiciary as a magistrate. My first phase in the judiciary, I worked for 11 years. My second phase in the judiciary, I have now done 7 years. And in my judicial work, I have also delivered judgments. I have adjudicated on cases, in criminal cases, civil cases, family cases, including electoral disputes. And if you look at my CV, and together with my writing samples, it's only one writing sample that is not related to the work of the judiciary.
Yeah, so when you are highlighting, you need to highlight more of the judicial work that you have done. You know, how you have improved the courts, how you have improved access to justice, because that's what we are interested in.
Yes.
And that brings me to the question of, when you are deciding these matters in those areas of the law, what philosophy guides you?
I'm a liberal, but within the confines of the Constitution and the law. I'll give an example, Chair. I had a matter, the matter came to me as a simple assault. But looking through the facts, I realized that this case, I needed to look beyond the penal code, section 251 of the penal code. I had now to look at the Constitution. I had to look at the protection against domestic violence, and I had to give protective orders, including taking some of the witnesses, the Witness Protection Agency, because it was a simple assault, but within that assault, there was incest, and there were many other cases where the victims were being threatened. And for, in an African setup, when you are a woman and your daughter is defiled by your husband, your mother-in-law and your brothers-in-law, they start looking at you as the enemy number one that has spoiled the name of the family. And in this particular case, they wanted to kill the two minors who had been defiled.
So you look at the social context within which you are delivering a judgment.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The next set of questions will be asked by Justice Ibrahim.
Thank you, Honorable CJ and Chair. Your Honor, before we start, the questions that I have to ask you, just a clarification on your educational background. I saw that you said that you obtained a master's degree in the international human rights from the Leeds University or University of Leeds, in 2004, right?
Yes.
Just above that information, I can see this entry, Rhodes University, but there is no qualification or no certificate or no degree obtained from Rhodes University.
No, at Rhodes University, I did a certificate in social accountability monitoring. When I was introducing myself, I said I have done other professional development courses. So I did a course at Rhodes University in social accountability monitoring.
So, just a certificate?
Yes, a certificate.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I can see you said you worked for 11 years. You left the judiciary. You left at the us at the position of senior
resident magistrate.
Senior resident magistrate. And when you entered At what point did you enter? At what?
I came back to the judiciary.
No.
Yes.
When you entered, at what point of entry, what level did you enter?
A district magistrate too.
Okay, so 11 years. Okay, that's good. And then 6 years subsequently.
Yes,
when you returned.
Yeah, when I returned, yeah.
You went straight to chief magistrate.
Yeah, I went.
And you have been there since.
Yes.
Okay. Now, one of the issues in this interview is one of leadership.
Yes.
How do you see yourself as a leader, administratively, managerially, and even as a judicial officer? What are your attributes of leadership in those aspects?
I have good leadership skills, and I impress. My leadership style is versatile, so that sometimes I'm democratic, sometimes you have to be very firm, and depending on the situation. For example, in Nakuru, at Nakuru locals, we have zero tolerance for corruption. So when I'm dealing with an issue relating to corruption, I'm very firm, and I can actually be a dictator because it is a no. But I'm also democratic, so I employ different leadership styles depending on the issue at hand. And I have also very good organizational skills, very good leadership skills. I have mentored my colleagues at Nakuru such that even if I'm not there, even the SRMs I have at Nakuru court station.
How many work under you?
I have 13 magistrates working under me and 1 Kadhi.
Since when were you taken to Nakuru?
I was taken to Nakuru last year in October. But while I worked in Mombasa, I deputized the head of station, and most of the time the head of station would be away.
Okay.
For example, when he was nominated as a judge, most of the time he was away. So I'm the one who actually took the leadership role at Mombasa Law Courts.
Okay. The mission of and the vision of the judiciary is stated in this statement: judiciary's social transformation through access to justice. You are aware of that?
Yes,
mission?
I am,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Yeah. So, in what ways have you initiated steps to achieve this vision in Nakuru?
In Nakuru, when I went to Nakuru, we have embraced the ICT, but I need to start from Mombasa. Mombasa is where my leadership skills.
I'm interested in
Nakuru.
2010.
Yes.
When did you become magistrate?
I became a magistrate in 1993.
Yeah, I'm interested in the time and the tenure under the new constitution.
Okay, I joined the judiciary in 2016 as a chief magistrate, and I was posted at Milimani Commercial Courts. I used to deputize the head of station, and whenever the head of station would be away, I'm the one who would take up the leadership role of the station. And while at Milimani, I was instrumental in coming up with strategies to ensure that we reduced backlog and motivated staff. And during that period, while I was at Milimani, Milimani Commercial Court was one of the best performing courts, and we got an award, including a cash award.
Now, when you it is very good to wish to come to the High Court, and that progression is natural, and I really wish you well. What are the attributes that you have, and what are your targets that you have to achieve in case you become a High Court judge?
Okay, if I become a High Court judge, I have good interpersonal skills, I have good research and analytical skills, and I have good organizational and time management skills. So when I go back to I get to the High Court, I will use these skills to just fit in, and I'll be a value addition to the High Court.
In terms of leadership, it is also judicial leadership, meaning it speaks through your judgments. As a chief magistrate, what would you say is a very critical case or important case you did where the ratio has been used or is able to be used by other courts, even under the magistracy?
I can single out the election petition that I handled while at Milimani Commercial Court, and when the matter was appealed, the High Court actually agreed with me, and even the judge who handled my appeal met me in one of the forums and told me that your writing skills are very good.
Okay. And now, as an arm of the government, what is the role of the judiciary in national development?
The judiciary is very crucial in national development because the judiciary adjudicates on disputes, and the judiciary upholds the rule of law. Without the rule of law, we cannot have development. Without speedy adjudication of disputes and disposal of cases, then people will have no faith in the judiciary. So when people have faith in the judiciary, then we have development. If you look at one of my writings while I was working at the National Commission on Human Rights, we authored a report on the impact of insecurity. And if you look at that report, you know, all these things come up because people don't believe in the rule of law. In 2007, we had the post-election violence because people did not believe in the judiciary. But now, when people start having faith in the judiciary, we have seen people now opting to go to court as opposed to going to fight.
Okay, thank you. And last question. It's not only for a judge or judicial officer. It's expected also one to play a social or community role and leadership. What have you done in Vihiga or even Muhaya and considered as a leader, and in what aspect?
Okay, in Vihiga, I support many children, not only in Vihiga but across board. I belong to I'm alumni of Kieni Girls High School, where I belong to an association where we call it Watoto Wasome, and we contribute money irrespective of where these children come from. And in my alumni association we call it MV90, I'm the one who has always been instrumental in raising funds for needy children. So I really don't just look only at Vihiga. Kieni is in Embu.
Embu.
Yes.
What about Ingo?
Ingo, what I do, I just support. I support from my salary. I support children who are not able to go to school. Like this year, I'm supporting 2 children. Last year, I supported 1. And not only just at Ingo in Vihiga. There was a student who was my student while I was working at Milimani Commercial, and I realized that this student was very needy, and I was able to mobilize funds to pay for his school fees at the Kenya School of Law. And he doesn't even come from Vihiga. So I do not confine only in Vihiga.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Macharia, please.
Thank you, Honorable CJ. 2 questions. The first one is, you've been a leader in Mombasa Station and now Nakuru Station. Now, and in the course of discharging your duties, there must be challenges that, like any other leader would face, you must have faced with various stakeholders as you continue with your work. Now, could you list some of those challenges very briefly? And if you became a High Court judge, because you could also end up being a head of a station probably, in your new responsibility, but even if you are not, you still have to relate with the stakeholders. How would you resolve those challenges?
Thank you, Commissioner. When I was posted in Mombasa, Mombasa is not an easy station. When I was posted in Mombasa, I just got into the thick of things. The advocates were making a lot of noise, and the head of station was away. So he just told me, Honorable Nyaloti, that's your baby, handle it, and just left me. So I had to hold meetings first with the magistrates, and then I called for a meeting with the leadership of Mombasa Law Society, and we had a very fruitful meeting, and we agreed on the way forward on how we were going to conduct our business at the law courts. And I was able to resolve the dispute that was between the magistrates and the advocates. Again, while working in Mombasa was not easy. So many times accused persons wanted to beat me in court. And if there's a video that goes around, I'm the one who was actually, this accused person, he had been charged with defilement, and he never wanted the case to go on. So most of the time, he always used to come to court armed with all manner of, like he could come with water, pretending that this is a water bottle, he's going to take water. But I had learned on how to observe him. So whenever I would see him trying to attack me, I would tell the orderlies to restrain him. In Nakuru, when I went to Nakuru, we had there was a conflict between the advocates and the magistrates, and I was able to have a meeting with the advocates, with the leadership of the Law Society, and we were able to resolve the issue. Commissioner, in every station you work, there are always difficult people who will make it hard for you to perform. But due to my good interpersonal skills, I have been able to talk to colleagues who are very difficult, and they see the point why they should work, and we work in a very harmonious way.
Okay. Now, my second question is because whenever somebody wants to go to the next level,
yes,
there must be reasons that motivate you into doing that.
Yes.
And there must be aspirations where you feel that this is what I aspire to achieve if I do get there. Would you elaborate to this commission? What are these aspirations? And what also motivates you into wanting to go to the, besides, of course, the usual perks that come with promotion?
Thank you, Commissioner. I think for me it is growth, and it's an aspiration of every lawyer, every judicial officer to get to the High Court. So for me it is growth, and again with my skills, I have done a solid 18 years as a magistrate, and I think I'm now ripe, and my skills will be a value addition, not only just the perks, but I'll be able to serve the Kenyan public.
My final question, which is just supplementary to what you've just indicated, when you look back as somebody who has been in the judiciary and also in the other world, where you've worked in the other institutions, do you have any regrets about your engagement in the judiciary vis-a-vis outside, or do you feel that you've been in the right place and you made the right decision? This is just for my understanding, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no regrets. I think I made the right decisions when I chose to resign to go for further studies, because my first phase in the judiciary, I really didn't achieve much, because I was just a normal magistrate doing W1. But when I did my master's and the trainings I was exposed to, I was able to use my knowledge for value addition to the judiciary. And Commissioner, maybe you may not know, when I came back, I worked on constitutional review. I worked closely with the KMJA leadership, and I was able to contribute also to the chapter on the judicial reforms. And even my thesis, when I was out there, was on judicial reform. So when I came back, I didn't have a job. I worked at KMJA. KMJA could not afford to pay me, but I worked at KMJA, and I was able to achieve so much with KMJA. And when the vetting of the judges and magistrates came, I was instrumental in inviting Professor Han Sunkule, who sensitized the judges and magistrates on the vetting.
Thank you, Commissioner Asame.
Thank you very much, Honorable CJ. Your Honor, you have been talking about the issue of the prisons.
Yes.
And if I got you right, you said you persuaded the prisoners not to beat up the prison officers.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, it is true. If you call Shimo Latewa, they will confirm.
That you are able to persuade them not to beat the prison officers?
Yes, because I told them of the strategies that the judiciary, we were going to come
Not about the judiciary.
Yes.
You want to persuade us that the prisoners will beat the prison officers?
Yes, because when the courts were ordered closed, the prisoners, they thought that they had lost hope, and they didn't know where else they were going to go. So when the officer in charge, Shimo Latewa, called me, I had to tell the prisoner that this is how we are going to work, and we are not going to close the court. And true to it, Mombasa court never closed. We used to go to the prison to hear cases. We used to go to the police stations to take the police, because even the police officers were scared of transporting the the accused persons to court. So we literally used to go to the police station to take the pleas.
Okay, and then you talked about your judicial life. Many people will be making life difficult or hard for you. Is there a case where you made life hard for litigants?
I don't think there's anyone I made life hard for litigants. For instance,
asking,
when I worked
I'm just asking whether it is yes or no.
No, when I'll give an example. When I worked at Milimani Commercial Courts, Milimani Courts has so many divorce cases, and these divorce cases, a divorce case affects people. Okay. It affects people. So
please
I used to treat all the litigants with dignity.
Please listen to me.
Yes.
So why will people make life difficult for a judicial officer?
I have never had an instance where somebody has made life difficult for a judicial officer, apart from a case in Mombasa where an accused person did not want the case to proceed, so he would always turn violent. So I had to come up with strategies to ensure that the case proceeded to conclusion.
Okay. And lastly for me, tell us one election petition decided by the High Court which you don't agree with and why.
I can't think of the one in the High Court that I don't agree with.
I wish you well. Thank you, Honorable CJ. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Justice Majanja.
Thank you, Chief Justice, and good afternoon again.
Good afternoon,
I
Commissioner.
have just a few questions. I've looked at your writings. You write well. In fact, your judgments are usually very detailed, which is good. But I just have one small concern. The first judgment is a 2018 judgment. The second judgment is a 2016 judgment. Then you have the last judgment you have submitted is a 2017 judgment. Then your report is 2014. So there is a gap, and then of course you only have one judgment of 2022. Does it mean you have not been writing? You don't have sample writings for closer dates?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have very many judgments for closer dates, but I specifically chose on those judgments, like the judgment on presumption of marriage.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so we've seen that, but we expected you to be more dated, eh?
Yes.
Because that shows where you are right now. But as I said, I have no problem with your sample writings. I just want to ask you a few questions, since you will be coming to the High Court. And one of the issues you'll meet is somebody comes before you, and you will receive many of them, applications for injunction. Others come for conservatory orders. What's the difference between an application for injunction and for conservatory orders?
Okay, an application for injunction is a threat that is just about to happen, and the case of Jailer Kasman Brown has very well documented the grounds for granting an injunction. A conservatory order, I'll give an example, would be, for example, maybe already a judgment has already been delivered, and the party wants to go to appeal, so the party wants the subject matter to be preserved.
And when you hear conservatory order, is there any case from the Supreme Court that comes to mind that started this issue of conservatory order?
Yes, I can.
You agree with me, it's a recent development, isn't it?
Yes, it's a recent development.
Yes. Can you tell us which Supreme Court decision?
I can remember the case of Gatirao Munya. Yeah.
So in that case, what was the distinction the court was drawing between one of an injunction and one of a conservatory order?
No, in that case, the Supreme Court gave another ground, which is a public interest. That the public interest, if the public interest favors the grant of a conservatory order, then the court would grant a conservatory order.
So would you like to change the meaning of a conservatory order vis-a-vis an ordinary injunction? You said it is after a case has been decided. So
It's after that one.
can,
Okay.
can the court give a conservatory order when the case is filed?
I think when there's a public interest, the court can, because the case that I have cited, the one of Peter Munya, it's a case that started from the High Court.
Okay.
It went to the Court of Appeal and then to the Supreme Court.
Okay. Another area you'll be dealing with, it will form a bulk of your work, is criminal appeals. So part of it is to understand the jurisdiction of the court, the way the court exercises the principles. On your first day, you get an appeal. The petitioner is appealing against an order of the magistrate refusing an adjournment. Would you proceed with that appeal?
It's no. I think this would be because the High Court has a revisionary jurisdiction.
I'm
and
saying
so-
now about
yes.
the appeal. Would you proceed with that appeal, and why?
Okay, maybe could you clarify? The case has already been finalized, or the
No,
case
no,
is
no.
still
The
pending?
case is going on.
Yes.
Then there is an appeal saying
Mm.
the magistrate refused to grant me an adjournment. Allow this appeal. So it's an appeal before you.
Yes, yes, you can allow the court will not the High Court will not proceed to hear an appeal because the case has not yet been decided. But the High Court, under its supervisory duties or jurisdiction, can actually make a revision and look at the case, because if the adjournment is not granted, maybe an injustice would occur. So it will depend on the fact of the case.
So why wouldn't you deal with the appeal? For what reason?
No, an appellate jurisdiction of the High Court is only when a case has already been decided and there's either a conviction or an acquittal. In the case of an acquittal, maybe it's the DPP who is appealing.
Okay.
In the case of a conviction, it is the accused person.
So the answer is just simple. There's no right of appeal.
Yes, there's no right of appeal.
Yes. Okay. And finally, you have a civil appeal. The appellant is complaining that he was injured in a factory. His hand was cut off by the machine, and he was only awarded 200,000 shillings. What would be your approach in dealing with that appeal?
I think this I will look at it. If it's a WIBA matter, then the court that has jurisdiction would be the Employment and Labor Relations Court, because we are saying that the injuries occurred in a factory and the hand was cut. So under WIBA, we have the director who. So the first call would be the director.
But this is an appeal to the High Court. So what would you do?
Okay, if the case was decided under WIBA, because there's the authority of the Supreme Court that said that magistrates courts do not have jurisdiction to
So
handle
what would you do with the appeal, you as the High Court judge?
that this appeal has come to me.
Yes,
As
it has
a-
come to you as an appeal that he's saying 200,000 was too little.
I think I would the case has to be referred to the Employment and Labor Relations Court
Okay.
because it's a WIBA matter.
Familiarize yourself with the issue of jurisdiction.
Okay.
And finally, if it was a road traffic accident, what are the principles of the High Court interfering with an award of damages in the subordinate court?
Okay, the High Court would interfere with the award of damages if maybe the lower court in awarding damages either awarded damages too low or too high. So the court will now look, because the essence of award of damages is really not to enrich the plaintiff, but to compensate the plaintiff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Thank you very much, Commissioner Ngutia.
Thank you. Greetings once more, Honorable.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I have a series of questions from the sample writing that you shared with the Commission. Number one is the one on NCIC versus Honorable Linturi. there's been a concern by members of the public that the courts are being used by the police to violate the rights of arrested persons. And in as much as in this particular case, you held that the prosecution had not established that there was compelling reasons to limit the respondent's right to liberty, you proceeded and issued conditional bonds of up to 5 million shillings and a surety or cash bail of 2 million shillings. So the concern is, in as much as you're saying the state has no powers to limit this law, but the orders you have granted, or you granted in this particular case, you like doing the obvious. It may be impossible for someone to raise 5 million shillings or 200 million shillings in a click of a second. And number two, the issue of requiring someone to report to DCI headquarters once a week. So the question is, there are concerns that you are perceived to be a conformist. There are concerns that you're perceived to be cautious, so that you don't want to be seen as though you're granting orders against the government. So in this particular case, it may seem that you're giving with one hand, but at the same time, yeah, what did you have to say about that?
Thank you, Commissioner. In fact, that case, you know, you have to look at the context in which that that application was brought, and we know it was they were
speak to the mic closer.
Sorry, they were investigating him on an offense of hate speech, and we all know what hate speech has caused in this country, the impact of hate speech. Again, I looked at the suspect. He is a man of means, and he can afford to pay 5 million or 2 million. I looked at his looking at his status. There are cases where people have also been charged in the same case, in the same charge sheet, and I look at the ones who cannot afford, I give them like 5,000 shillings. And the public interest, you see, looking at the public interest, I had to give him a conditional bond, because if he continued maybe committing hate speech, you know, it was going to cause a lot of harm to the public than
in this case he was assessed a suspect.
He was a suspect.
The investigation, just a moment, the investigations were yet to be carried out.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, the police were hoping to hold him over a particular period of time so they complete their investigations. What was so hard in you referring the matter back to the police, because the police also have powers to issue bail and bond under the bail and bond policy? Why can't you let the police manage their own affairs instead of the judiciary aiding them in terms of violating the rights of suspects? Not even suspects, arrested persons.
Thank you, Commissioner. In this case, you see, taking the matter back to the police would be, I would not be performing my, I would be actually giving my judicial duties back to the police. This matter had already come before me as a judicial officer, and the role of the judicial officer is to administer justice. So I gave Linturi his freedom, conditional, because the matter was still under investigation. The police could continue investigating while he was out on bond.
Thank you. At least I'm happy that you said you gave him conditional release.
Yes,
he's still a suspect. My other question is with regards to the burial dispute. No, sorry, sample writing number 2. Sorry, just the issue where a man had moved the court to seek declaration that there was no marriage between him and one NAS. I don't want to give the details of the names, the actual names. So in this particular decision, at page 4, you proceed to, and I quote, you in your decision you held that the Marriage Act recognizes long cohabitation where couples live together as husband and wife. You are very specific with regards to the Marriage Act. Is that the true position of the law?
No, the true position of the law is that there are only 5 systems of marriage under the Marriage Act. So there are instances where, because of the nature of our society, a presumption of marriage has to be inferred. And I'll give an example of a case where...
No, that's okay. But so you agree with me in you making reference that the Marriage Act allows cohabitation is not factual?
No, I think I made that reference. I said although the Marriage Act does not recognize cohabitation as a form of marriage, but when you look at the decided cases by the superior courts, both the Court of Appeal and the High Court, you'll find that there's a presumption of marriage.
Allow me to read for you the exact part of your judgment.
Yes.
That's paragraph 13. It would seem that marriage by cohabitation is not recognized under the Act. I am satisfied that the Marriage Act recognizes long cohabitation where couples live together as husband and wife. That's your reading. So moving forward, you've also quoted Cotran's book with regards to validity of Kamba customary marriage in Kenya. And the essentials of marriage as listed by yourself is number 1, capacity, consent, slaughter of a billy goat, marriage consideration, and cohabitation. According to you, do you think one must meet the 5 or any of the 5? That is capacity, consent, slaughter of the goat, marriage consideration, and cohabitation.
I think I was just giving that instance because the parties in this case were campers. But in this particular case, this man had 2 wives.
No, I don't want to go to the details.
Okay.
I'm just because you've cited a book which most judges and lawyers make reference to when they are dealing with marriage and divorce, customary marriage and divorce. So the book highlights 5.
Yes.
Essentials of valid marriage. So from your understanding, should they meet the 5 or 1 or 2 of the highlighted provisions?
I would say most African customary marriages, they start with cohabitation. In fact, in the African customary setting...
Sorry. We don't have time, so okay. I just want you to be specific. You just respond to the questions as asked.
So either one of them would okay, if you are to follow the strictly Kamba customary law, there would be no marriage if the 5 have not been complied with. But looking at the way life is, the way men just bring wives and construct for them houses, and everybody starts referring to them as a wife and their children, so they become wives under customary law.
So all 5 must be met, or just 1?
No, not all 5 must be met.
So if someone has no capacity, that's a child, there is no consent, a goat was not slaughtered, there was no marriage consideration, but people cohabit, 2 children cohabit, would you regard?
No. Children do not have a capacity to consent to any marriage. In this case, I'm talking about adult men and women of sound mind.
So must all the 5 be met under Cotran's book?
I think under Cotran's book they must be met.
5.
But when you look at the way life is,
yes, just that's fine. So when you go ahead in your decision and state that it is clear under customary law that cohabitation is a marriage, then that is not factual based on the initial response you had given.
No.
You say 5 must be met, but you have chosen to only pick 1 out of the 5, and that is cohabitation.
Because in this particular case, a presumption of marriage had been inferred. Because here is a man who has brought a woman, constructed for her a house, and they have children. And the woman was living in his home. He has not chased her away.
Sorry, I needed just specific responses to the questions that I asked because we don't have time.
Yes.
When Judge Ibrahim was asking you about the type of leader you are. You say you wear different hats, and maybe I didn't hear you properly. You even included you can be a dictator, provided it is allowed or it can make things move.
Yes.
Is that factual?
Yes, it is.
So, as a chief magistrate, or if you're successful and get this position, you are likely to head a station. So in a station you would engage different stakeholders.
Yes.
Your colleagues, members of the public, members of the bar. So how would you then use this particular type of leadership? Because to the best of my knowledge, a dictator focuses on him or her as a leader as opposed to others. Do you think that's a good leadership quality to have?
No. When Commissioner was asking me the question, I said my leadership style is versatile, which means there are situations when I have to be democratic, depending on the situation at hand. But there are those situations where...
So maybe give an example, because
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you short because
Yes.
of time. Give an example when you have to wear your dictatorial hat.
Especially when we are dealing with issues to do with integrity at the station. If you are not firm, it will not work. Like in Nakuru, we have a zero tolerance for corruption, including where the brokers, with the consent of LMT, we had all the brokers identified and their photographs pinned, and they were told they should not be seen meandering around the court corridors.
Okay. And then the other, sorry, I said the last, but I have two more. The other decision you shared is with a burial dispute, LGD versus RB and two others.
Yes.
And what LGD was seeking is to be involved in the burial preparations and final interment of the deceased person. And you clearly went ahead and stated that because the deceased was already in a monogamous marriage, then the cohabitation which LGD was alleging was not lawful because the deceased had no locus to enter into any other form of union. But one thing that caught my attention is you ordering that the burial must be done in accordance with the Luhya customary law. It was not pleaded by any party. The issue at hand was the involvement of one party. And how would you describe what Luhya customary law in terms of interment would look like?
Okay, this came in the course. Is it working? This came in the course of the evidence. The parties said they were lawyers, and the deceased ought to have been buried as a lawyer. Given that there's no law on burial apart from common law, then according to the Luhya customary law, the body of a Luhya adult man is buried at the homestead of the first wife.
Where do you get that information from?
From Cotran.
You didn't cite it in your...
I did not cite, but again, this was a burial dispute disguised as a property dispute. So I told parties issues to do with succession, they had to go to a succession court where now issues of marriage would be decided, and the succession court decide what each woman gets.
Okay. Do you have any pending judgments from Mombasa?
No.
Ruling. Thank you. Thank you so much, and wishing you the very best.
Thank you. The next set of questions will be asked by Commissioner Gishohi, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions for the Honorable.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Professor.
Thank you, CJ. Your Honor, how many years between your first phase of duty and the second phase?
29 years.
No.
Sorry.
How many years between the first phase and the second phase? The time you resigned and the time you came back to duty at 2016?
Okay, I resigned in 2004. I'm not very good at mathematics.
We can do the math for you, don't worry.
So
2004.
okay, I resigned in 2004 and proceeded for my studies. Then when I came back, I did not have a job.
So you stayed for 12 years.
I stayed for 12 years outside the judiciary, but I was working in other organizations.
So that's all I wanted to know.
Yes.
My last question is, have you come up with any innovative strategy to solve a problem where you have worked, that you can say this can be attributed to me, this innovative strategy, either process or any that you can tell us?
Yes, I will cite the virtual courts in Mombasa, the interlinking the courts with the prisons. Strategy number 2.
No, let me just talk about that one.
Yes.
Is that your innovation, or is it judiciary innovation?
No, it was my innovation. Then the judiciary tasked me. Actually, I'm the one who prepared the concept note for the judiciary, for the whole judiciary to be interlinked. In fact, Mombasa court was the first one. Then when we started, Honorable Omido of Kwale called me and told me
that's okay.
So we also interlinked. We also assisted Kwale and the other neighboring courts in Mombasa.
Innovation there is the interlinking.
Yes.
But would you attribute that to yourself, or that is judiciary initiative, and you have to implement it as a person on the ground?
The judiciary has, when you look at the judge and the judiciary transformation framework, ICT as an enabler to access to justice, it's there. It's only that nobody, before COVID came, nobody had actually thought of using ICT as an enabler for access to justice. So for me, I think the using ICT was demand driven.
But can it be attributed to you, Honor? Can you say this is my innovation? Well, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay, the judiciary had it, but nobody was taking it from the books. I took it from the books.
Okay.
Yes, in fact, I had different meetings with the different stakeholders. And if you look at the newsletter of Mombasa Law Society, they have actually commended me. And for them, it's very hard for them to praise you.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rwan.
Thank you very much, CJ. Honorable Edna Ameyo, it's been a long day. I want us to just wind this up very fast. I want us to have a discussion about your performance. Yes. From the report I have here, you do not seem to be carrying your weight as compared to your colleagues. This is a report for the period starting 1st October 2021. I believe by then you were in Nakuru.
Yes.
Until March 2022.
Yes.
So out of the expected 8%, your output is 6%. And generally also your station doesn't seem to be doing well in terms of clearance of backlog. We have a backlog of 12,358 against a caseload of 40,153. This means that 30% of your work is backlog. So could you tell us what is happening at your station, why you're not carrying your weight, and why you are not making efforts to clear your backlog?
Thank you, Commissioner. I was transferred to Nakuru in October last year, and when I went to Nakuru, the station had so many challenges. The head of station had been away due to COVID. He had been very sick. The number 2 had also been very sick with COVID. So it looked like nothing was really moving during that period. So when I went to Nakuru, I carried out a case audit, and I came up with strategies on how we are going to reduce the backlog. If you are to look at my output as per June, my output is at 88%, my individual output. Again, Commissioner, that tool does not capture, there's a lot of...
If I can stop you, did you say 88%?
Yes, my individual output as per June is now 88%.
As compared to the other judicial officers?
No, no, that is my individual, but 6% is because I also carry the load of, I'm the head of station, managing the station, and there are many other tasks that I'm involved in, which the tool does not capture. For instance, when you are coming up with innovative ideas, even at the station, you hold meetings. We have had the CJ coming to launch the small claims court and the AJS, and then recently the CJ also launched the Court of Appeal. There's a lot of work that goes in that is not documented.
Okay.
In fact, most of the times we sit we have meetings up to 8. During that period, I normally report to work at 6. And if you look at my course list, Commissioner, I have not reduced my course list. Apart from my administrative duties, I have never reduced my course list.
Okay, so you are saying your output has improved from 6% to now you are carrying your weight.
I'm carrying my weight because 6% is because I carry administrative duties, which the monitoring tool does not even capture. And again, Commissioner, when you are sitting as the head of station, your
point is home.
You are supervising. Sometimes people come to my chambers and they have to start crying because they have issues. I have to stop what I'm doing and listen to that.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Another thing I wanted to ask you is about your case clearance rate.
Yes.
It's low, very low, as compared to the national average. Again, your productivity as a court is also low. What does that tell you?
I have given the challenges that I confronted myself when I went to Nakuru. Again, when I went to Nakuru, boxes of judgments followed me from Mombasa. And those boxes...
Sorry. When I say you are in this question that I'm asking about the court productivity and the case clearance rate,
yes,
I'm talking about you as a station, not just you. You are the station leader, right?
Yes.
So I'm talking about Nakuru.
Yes.
For the period between July 2021 to March 2022, the court case clearance rate is 58% against 83, which is the national average. Court productivity, that is each judicial officer, is 477 against the national average of 526. So individually you are doing poorly, in case clearance you are doing poorly. So what does it tell you?
Okay, we will look into that, but I went to Nakuru after the station had experienced several challenges due to COVID-19.
Okay, thank you. The other question I wanted to ask you concerns corruption in the corruption prevalence index.
Yes.
In Nakuru, it's 7.06 as against a national average of 7.03. I'm alive to the fact that this was in 2019, and in 2019 you were in Mombasa, where the situation was sadder, if you ask me.
Yes.
At 14.97 against the national average of 7.03. I don't know if there's anything you want to tell us about the interventions you put in place to ensure this doesn't recur in the next survey.
We have put several interventions. We have continuous meetings with the staff members, and again each registry is accountable on how they manage files, because when files start disappearing, that's when now corruption becomes higher. We have also put strategies in place in constant communication with the court users committees to ensure that those people who come to broker justice at the corridors have been identified with the assistance of the CUC, and they have been actually we use it, they are persona non grata at the corridors of Nakuru law courts.
Okay. Lastly, I want to just go through the reports that we have on you.
Yes.
You've already addressed us on community service, so I will not engage you on that. The vetting documents that we received are okay. I have no issue with them. The report on your background that we have received is that you have good grasp of the law. You are competent in handling high-profile cases. However, you have no drive for judicial work. You have poor administrative skills. You are very slow in clearing backlog, and you actually allow adjournments in unnecessary, or rather you allow unnecessary adjournments. And you also have a problem containing your temperament. So much so that in one particular case where you were handling, I think it was in Mombasa.
Yes.
You had to be peer reviewed over this issue in respect to a particular matter. I don't know what you have to say concerning that report.
Thank you, Commissioner. In fact, in that particular case, this is a case, it was a corruption case, and you know, under the Act, we have to clear corruption cases expeditiously. And this is a case where the parties, the advocates, if you look at the parties involved in that, I don't want to mention them here, but if you look at the parties involved in that case, from day one, they did not want that case to proceed. So they came up with several strategies, and they came with several applications. I delivered my rulings on those applications. They never appealed. In fact, when the media would be away, they would be very good, very courteous. But the moment the media arrived, I don't know where the spirits came from. They would just become unruly. And again, if you look at the litigant in that case, her spirits would transfer from the advocates, from herself to the advocates. And then after the court appearance, they would go out and they would be laughing. And if you look at the video, there are video clips of the courtroom. I remained calm. In fact, they were shocked. They were shocked why I remained calm in that case. They were expecting that I would start throwing my shoes and my files to them. I did not do that.
The allegation is not true.
No, it's not true. And again, the advocate in that case came and told me that he was just doing it for the media.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I wish you well. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Nyaloti, for answering the questions. In the course of interviewing you, you also brought rain. I don't know whether it's a good omen. I think it is. Yeah, but I wish you well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, we will get in touch with you when we complete the exercise. But before we close, we always give a candidate an opportunity to ask us a question, if you have any.
Thank you, Chair. I do not have any question, but to thank you and the commissioners for giving me this opportunity to appear before this panel to be interviewed for this job.
Thank you. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for bringing us rings.
Okay, thank you.